Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Lebanon Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for Monday, December the 1st. Hope everybody's enjoying this weather out there. Could we have roll call?
Okay. Corey Kuntz.
Here.
Bruce Polly.
Here.
Ron Edwards.
Here.
Lori Gross is absent.
Okay, we have enough for the meeting. It's going to take all three of us to a yes vote. And if anybody wants to postpone it for a month, feel free. Okay, that's what I wanted to hear. Has everybody seen the minutes?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. We need to look at the calendar for 2026. And I don't have that printed out, but is there any problems with it?
It's pretty standard, so
Okay, I guess motion to approve it.
I would make a motion to approve the 26 calendar.
Second. Favor aye.
Aye.
Okay, the 26 calendar is approved as is. We have two items tonight. Docket 2553, Jorwar Gorman requesting a development standard variance to permit a dumpster enclosure in the required front setback of the property located at 1527 West South Street here in town. The property is zoned PUD, Lebanon Gateway Marketplace zoning district. Ben?
Thank you, Mr. Pauly. I will note that the applicant is not present this evening. I thought I might go through the request. If it's something you're comfortable with, I would ask first that you would make a motion to move forward with a decision without the applicant present, and then make a motion on the actual application itself. So if after you hear what the request is, you're a little concerned about it and would like to hear from the applicant, I would prefer you would make a motion to continue that to next month, and I'll follow up the applicant, make sure he is here. So I will go through it first, and if I don't think it's a particularly contentious issue, but if you have different thoughts, then we can always continue it. But if you're okay with moving forward with it, I would want a motion first to continue with the decision with the applicant not present. So, okay, so if we'll go ahead and pull the screen up and walk through this. This is a site that is under construction out in Lebanon Gateway Marketplace, just off of South Street. State Road 32, and I guess that's the I-65 exit ramp that's to the west there. This is a Bar Louie restaurant that's under construction. This was approved for development several years ago, has had stops and starts for the last 2.5 years, but they are under construction. As they started going through the development and then construction of the building, they recognized that what was approved a couple years ago was not going to work for them, and I'll show you what I mean by that here in a second. So this is at the north end, this is the restaurant, the Bar Louie that we're talking about. And then this is the Fairfield Hotel that's under construction just south of that. They were brought in as one development plan application. They're going to be constructed at the same time. And what the applicant had proposed at that time is they would put one dumpster location to the south of the hotel. And then they were going to provide a service to the restaurant basically to take their trash to the dumpster. When we questioned why there wasn't a second dumpster location. They provided that explanation. We said, okay, we're not sure that's going to work, but okay. And now they've realized that it's not going to work. So they need to find a second dumpster location specific for the Bar Louie restaurant. The challenge here is that because this site is fronted on 3 sides by roads, the dumpster location is restricted to only the areas that I've highlighted in blue, because they can't have a dumpster in front of the building on any sort of thoroughfare side of the building. So the west and north sides are not eligible for the dumpster location because it's on interstate side and 32 side. So the areas in blue are the only places they could put a dumpster. This small area south of the building doesn't work because it's not accessible for a truck to get to the dumpster. And the east side of the building is where the front entrance of the restaurant is located. So not really a great spot to put a dumpster right next to the front entrance to your restaurant. Understand that? And so what they've proposed then is, based on the way the restaurant floor plan is laid out, our service entrance is on this west side of the building. We would really like to put the dumpster here on the west side of the building and they had identified as a loading zone in the original development plan. So thus the reason for the variance request, because there really is no feasible location to put it where it wouldn't affect the front entrance of the building, of the restaurant. They do need a variance to allow the dumpster to be located between the building and the interstate in essence. So this is the location they're proposing it to the west side, which would be closest to that exit ramp off of I-65. So they also provided for us just a quick rendering of what that dumpster enclosure would look like. They're going to go ahead and build it out of the same brick material as what is on the building. And so this gives you an idea what it would look like there and in association with the building directly behind it. And then one other thing I just did want to show, there is a fairly significant landscape buffer on that west parking lot side due to the fact that it's adjacent to the interstate and there is a thoroughfare overlay buffer. So you can see even, they will have it certainly enclosed per requirements, but there's also a fairly significant landscape screen that will be provided already on that western property line there to help screen that location from visibility. Certainly that is a little bit down in a depression, so it's lower than that exit ramp. It's really kind of hard to completely screen it, but that will provide some landscape screening to that location. So again, just to conclude the request, again, this is rather than being based on the UDO requirements for the dumpster location, this is actually a variance from the PUD ordinance standards that were adopted by the council for this development. So this is a variance from the PUD ordinance number 2018-7, section E, which the ordinance says that dumpsters are only permitted closer than the primary structure to rights of way. We're adjacent to Gateway Avenue, Ping or Ransdell, and this is Gateway Avenue to the east. That's why I showed that kind of blue location. So they are requesting a variance from that to allow it to be between the building and the interstate side, because really the only feasible side that they have. So again, we go through those same three criteria for a consideration of a variance. First is that the approval will not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Staff has determined the proposed location will pose no imminent threat to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare. The location is in a satisfactory location and it causes no obstruction to drive aisles or impact any of the available parking spaces. So we see no imminent threat to any of those things. Second, the use and value of the area adjacent will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And staff determined the requested variance to allow the proposed dumpster location will not affect the use and value of the area adjacent. The dumpster will be adequately screened by dumpster enclosure per ordinance requirements, and the view from the interstate will be partially screened by proposed landscape plantings along the west side of the parking area. And finally, criteria number 3, the strict application of the terms of the, I guess it says UDO, but in this case, the PUD ordinance will result in practical difficulties. And staff determined the strict application of the terms of UDO will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. The only permitted location for the dumpster by the PUD ordinance would place a dumpster in the vicinity of the front entrance, which not only would not be desirable for a restaurant, but would not be desirable for any commercial business for that matter. So with that then, staff has recommended approval of the development standards variance request to permit relief from the dumpster location requirement of the Lebanon Gateway Marketplace PUD ordinance. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Is there going to be enough clearance for the truck to get into the?
Yes, there will. So that drive aisle, I believe, is at least 24 feet wide. So it's essentially 2 lanes. And so they would have plenty of room to basically swing around and be able to get into that enclosure.
Well, since the applicant is not here, I guess questions. I'm not personally, I'm not in favor of with the applicant not here carrying this on. But when we vote, does it have to be unanimous or?
It would have to be unanimous. Yeah. Yes, today it would have to be unanimous vote in order to move forward.
I knew it would have to be unanimous with
only, it has to be 3 people. Yeah.
How this one. Okay.
I guess, Mr. Pauly, is there anything that I could help address that has you concerned, or you just want to be able to hear something?
I just think that the applicant needs to be here.
Okay.
That's, we're here and never mind. Okay. If there's no further questions, I'd look for a motion. Wait a minute. We gotta open it to the public for.
Yeah, I guess maybe I open the public hearing first, and then maybe if you 3 want to have discussion about the idea of moving forward without the applicant here, I would do that maybe after the public hearing.
let's open it for the public hearing first. And seeing that nobody, close the public end of it.
I mean, I personally, especially given the weather this evening, we could have a weather delay or something along those lines. So I'm not all that bothered that the applicant's not here myself. Plus, I believe that, given the conditions, I don't think there's a different or better solution to this that we would talk through with the applicant. So I personally would be comfortable moving forward. But
So
obviously,
you're making the motion
yeah,
to
I would
approve?
motion that we go ahead and move forward without the applicant present.
I would second.
Okay,
Do you want to just to go?
well, you're making the motion to vote on the variance,
Because
right?
Ben, you would prefer that we have an approval to move forward
Yes, I
without.
want to understand what the vote is on the approval to move forward before there's any motion on the variance itself. So
Yeah, so this is simply on moving forward with the conversation on the variance without them present.
And I second it.
Okay, then Kelly.
Oh, Corey.
Yeah.
yeah, you want to do roll call vote, Mr. Polly?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Kelly.
Corey,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Ron.
Yes.
Okay, and then,
So then we can proceed with determination on the variance request. And I would motion we approve per staff recommendation.
Corey Coons.
Yes.
Bruce Polly,
okay, yes.
Ron Edwards.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion carries. Hope things go well with them. We have one more item tonight, and it's Dan Connors on behalf of the Lebanon Land Group. The property is Block 6 in Hickory Junction here in Lebanon. The property is zoned planned unit development, is within the thoroughfare overlay district and comprised of 2.761 acres. The subject lot configuration is approximately 370 feet by 300 feet. Ben?
Thank you, Mr. Polly. I'll go through the history here on this one as well. This also is a PUD ordinance with a variance requested. And when the Hickory Junction development was originally coming in and we were working with the applicant on the standards for this district, there was an initial concept that all of the commercial properties that were out in front of the field house would be the desire was for a pedestrian friendly development where the buildings were all pushed out to the street and you had sidewalks along the frontage and then all the parking was back behind. And as the sites started to get laid out and we were seeing that it really, in terms of efficiently layouts, was going to have outlots and then internal lots. And then I know the applicant had to work through a lot of changes to the overall site as they were working through some of the access requirements from NDOT. I started to see an issue with the way the standards were set up. And actually what it is the front setback, building setback, is a build to line, which means the building needed to be built exactly 20 feet from each front property line, the front of the building. On some of these outlots, and I'll show you that for this particular lot in particular, this lot actually has roads on all four sides of the property, which means they're all front property lines, which means they have to have a building 20 feet from every property line. So there's really physically no way to do that. And I thought that this might become an issue as the property started getting laid out. And I gave him a heads up about that. And actually what we're doing right now is this is really a timing thing. We're actually in the middle of doing an amendment to the PUD ordinance that goes through Plan Commission and Council. That I would anticipate would be adopted sometime in January of next year. The challenge here is the applicant, the Leo's Market and Eatery on this side, is planning to close sometime in January, and they want to understand that their site can be developed before they close, and so the timing just doesn't work out. So they had requested to go ahead and go forward with a variance for their specific lot that would be theoretically approved tonight, so they can go ahead and close in a timely fashion in January in anticipation. And we also expect that there would be an amendment that would actually clear this up and clean this up for the rest of the development, but this is more just a timing thing for the Leo's Market. So that's a little bit of the history on how we got to this spot. So just to kind of, if I want to go ahead and pull the screen up, I'll go through just a quick refresher on where Hickory Junction is located. And again, I apologize for my really, really old aerial photography that still doesn't show the building on it for the field house. This is the site of the overall Hickory Junction development, and you can kind of see the building footprint where the field house is being developed. And the lot that we're looking at is directly out in front of the building here along State Road 39. And this is the site, and this is actually turned on its side, so north goes to the right. So State Road 39 is actually here on this side of the building. And as you can see, like I thought might happen, this lot has roads on all four sides, meaning those are all front building setbacks. So the only way that they could have actually developed this site and met the build-to line requirement is have a building that is 20 feet from every property line, which means you'd have a really big building and no place to put parking. So it just physically was not going to work. So actually what we worked out with as Leo's was coming through is said, hey, we anticipate this is going to get changed. Let's figure out how to properly and efficiently site the building on this property, allowing for proper flow around the building and access around the building. And then, like I said, based on the timing, it made sense for them to go ahead and move forward the variance here. But also the developer, Cardin Associates, will be going forward and getting the amendment to the PUD to allow something like this to happen on the rest of the outlots. We're not coming through for variances for every one of these. The one thing I will say, though, is what the amendment will do is it's still going to allow some of the interior lots where we think that there still is a pedestrian-friendly option to allow those buildings to be pushed out toward the street, but also allowing these outlots to be a more traditional development pattern. So we are allowing for the flexibility for one or the other to be an option depending on how the other sites develop. So again, what the request is tonight is essentially a variance from the front build to line to allow this development to exceed that and allow for larger setbacks than what is required by the 20-foot build to line. So the setbacks here vary anywhere from 74 feet to slightly over 100 feet on any one of the four sides. So again, just looking at a request to exceed the build to setback requirement for the front lot lines here in this development. So again, as I mentioned, this is a PUD ordinance, so it's a variance from the PUD ordinance associated with the Hickory Junction development that was adopted in 2024. And again, like all variances, we do have the three criteria to consider as part of that variance. And the first is the approval not be injurious to public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Staff has determined in this case the proposed building setbacks pose no imminent threat to public health, safety, morals, or general welfare of the community. The building is sited appropriately to provide adequate vehicular and pedestrian access around the building and the site. Criteria number two is that the use and value of the area adjacent will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Staff has determined the requested variance to vary from the maximum front building setback will not affect the use and value of the area adjacent. The applicant is currently proposing a modification to the PUD ordinance to make adjustments to the front building setback requirements to more closely reflect the proposed site improvements and how other outlots are anticipated to develop. Due to the timing of closing, as I mentioned, with the developer of the Leo site, the applicant needed a variance in place prior to the anticipated adoption of the amendment to facilitate closing. Criteria number three, strict application of the terms of the PUD ordinance will result in practical difficulties. In this case, staff determined the strict application of the terms will result in practical difficulties in the use of the subject property. Because the site has right of way on all four sides of the lot, thus creating four front lot lines, the maximum front setback would apply on all lot lines. This means in order to meet the standard as currently written, the building would need to be within 20 feet of all lot lines, which is not really physically possible, while also providing parking and vehicular access. Because those three criteria have been met, staff then determined and recommended approval of the development standards variance request to permit relief from the maximum front building setback of the Hickory Junction PUD ordinance. Again, I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Is there no sidewalk on 39?
There will actually be a trail on 39. The developer, the Leos, will not be constructing it. We're actually still working out who's going to be the responsible party, but there will be a trail on 39 and then sidewalks on all the interior roads.
So the only variance is that setback requirement. All other PUD requirements are met.
That is correct.
Okay.
And the applicant is here on this
I was
one
gonna
item.
ask,
So.
does that want to add anything to this, or are you good with? Okay. Well, if that be the case, we'll open it to the public for comment or questions or whatever. And we'll close it to the public. And look for a.
Make a motion to approve docket 25-54 as written.
Second.
Corey Kuntz,
Yes.
Bruce Polly, Ron Edwards.
Motion carries. Congratulations. Good luck. And we'll see you next time around. See you soon. Sounds good. Okay, that's all that I have. Anybody else have any questions or anything? Then I would look for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion. Adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.